What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm your host, Dick Burns.
And I'm Bobby Boomerang. We're here to talk everything from the granddaddy of them all to where Ezekiel Elliott's going to run the ball.
Ah, that's a good one. We're here to talk about everything from Lamar Jackson contract talks to WrestleMania carpet walks.
Ooh.
Yeah, you like that one, don't you?
Yeah. Two good ones this week.
Make sure if you guys haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We've got our own YouTube channel now. We're trying to monetize this thing so we can get this guy a better camera and some better internet. I mean, you're honestly, you're coming in pretty clear today. You're not.
No one else is home.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Hell of a week.
Yeah, so hell of a week. I think, it is Mania season. This is, we have talked about the Super Bowl and the NFL in previous episodes. This is essentially the Super Bowl for wrestling.
Exactly. There's no other way to put it. This is like the season finale.
Correct. I mean, so I think with that, we start with the football side of the house, and then we end with wrestling, and then we are going to be making picks to see who gets the championship, the figurative championship belt.
Until we get a physical championship belt again.
Yep.
So, when we were co-workers and we used to do picks every week, we actually, or not even, it was like multiple times a week, it was almost daily. We would literally be like, all right, what picks do we have for tonight? We would make prop bets on anything and everything in sports. And we had this giant inflatable WWE belt. And we would all fight over it. Just be like, it would literally be like every day when we come into work, all right, who won the picks? And we'd literally be like running to each other's office to steal it.
Our boss won it one time. Another coworker who hadn't watched wrestling since Coco Beware was popular. She won it one time. We got like the whole office involved with
We
that
really
one.
did. It was a lot of fun. It was one of those ways that we just built morale. It was great.
Massive shout out to our buddy Josh.
Massive.
I believe Josh is the one who got the inflatable belt.
He was actually. Does he still have it, or do you? Because I
believe. So I retired when.
Yeah, when we retired the belt, who had it?
When the belt was retired, I was champion.
Okay.
So I believe, and then when I left that company, they packed up my stuff and former coworker took it to my mom's house in Virginia. And I believe that belt should be mixed in with all of the other stuff that was in my desk when I left that company.
Interesting.
So I believe I still have it. I'll let you know in the next couple of weeks because those of our loyal listeners that have been following have known that I've been looking for a place to live, and I found one.
You make it sound like you were like homeless or something. No, you were just like you're just looking for your next house. That's all.
That's
it's okay. Your turn first, then it's my turn. So.
Yep, found a place. So I'll be heading up to Virginia here in the next couple of weeks to pack some stuff up. I will look for the belt and see if I still have it. If not, we'll have to figure something out. Maybe go get. Maybe we rip off Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk and get the little baby belts.
It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea either. Well, because I was also thinking like if we have the inflatable, if we can have just you hang on to that one, I get one of my own, and then whoever has it, we just keep it on screen since we're like not physically within like 30 feet anymore.
Oh, real quick. Speaking of belts, so finally my roommate won our fantasy football league. Not the league that you and I are in, but
obviously.
The other league I was in, and he got his trophy. And I think I would like to display it for you and for everybody else.
Go right ahead. And then while you're actually going to go grab that, it is still in discussion. I want to make a championship belt for our league, but again, it's just a matter of finding the money for it and like investing the money for it. I already like what I see. Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure I grab it right.
Yeah. I'm here for it. All right. Love it.
Side plates.
Okay. Yeah, eventually, like, again, we will get one for our league. But, again, we have a couple of months before we have to think about that.
Correct.
I originally said we were going to do it last year, but then funding got tight, and, well, welcome to America, so.
Yep.
Anyways.
So, let's
go ahead and get into this. Big news of the week, obviously. in the NFL, what's going on with Lamar Jackson? There has been so much going on there. A lot of things, a lot of news has just been breaking left and right. Where do you want to begin with that?
I think we start with Ken Francis.
Yes. Now, for those that have no idea, which is most likely 98% of the people, who the hell is Ken Francis?
So, Ken Francis is Lamar's agent. Except for that part where he's not.
Right?
Not Lamar's agent.
No, he's a business partner that apparently was going around everybody trying to negotiate a deal for Lamar behind his back. And Lamar's just like, yeah, no, he don't represent me. And then the NFL Players Association is like, don't listen to him. If he comes to you for contract talks, don't come to him. But
they sent out a memo to all 32 teams saying to not speak with this gentleman named Ken Francis because he is not a licensed NFL agent.
And at first, people were like, that doesn't seem right. Why are they, like, trying to sabotage Lamar's chances at getting a contract? No, legitimately, this guy is just trying to act on his own behalf and making a fool of himself and potentially even Lamar in the process. Yep. Unintentionally.
Yep. So Ken Francis is not his agent. Lamar doesn't have an agent.
No, he's still self-represented.
Right.
Ken Francis is a business partner that Lamar has been working with on a venture called The Entire Gym. Have you seen the videos that are going around of The Entire Gym?
No.
You're not missing much. It's literally like, this guy basically put a whole bunch of gym equipment onto a dolly with a speaker on it. And it's like, you can carry it all around. And she's like, people already have that.
It's a hand cart.
Yeah, it's a hand cart. Like that's all it is.
So,
it's literally just like, it's a very neatly organized hand cart. That's all it is. And they're trying to market it as like the future of training. And it's like, no, it's just a bunch of shit on a hand cart. Come on now.
A lot of this reminds me of a few years back when Brady was still in New England with Alex Guerrero. I don't know.
I don't remember that.
There was somebody who helped Tom Brady develop the TB12 method, and Brady was doing his own like nutritional stuff. He was doing his own he was seeing his own doctors, and he credited it to this dude Alex. And then eventually Belichick barred this Alex dude from the building, said he's not a member of the Patriots, he's not part of the organization.
Okay, I remember that now.
What Brady chooses to do on his own time is on Brady, but he's not going to come in and fuck up the Patriots way, because that's another big thing is the Patriot way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this reminds me a lot of that scenario. Ultimately, two clowns who aren't part of the NFL trying to live vicariously through NFL superstars.
Speaking of people living vicariously through the NFL, Chiefsaholic is back on the run.
Yeah,
I was going to save that for later, but yeah, that just kind of felt like a quick little aside to throw in there.
He cut off his ankle monitor. What an idiot. He'll be in jail soon.
Oh, absolutely. With that all being said, though, then the news comes out this week. Lamar goes on Twitter, and I think it was just yesterday. He goes on Twitter and posts a statement, a personal statement of him for like his own doing. He's just like, look, a lot of people have been saying a lot of things. I'm here to set the record straight right from the horse's mouth. I requested a trade on March 2nd.
Yep.
I do not want to play for Baltimore this year. Meanwhile, again, he requested that trade March 2nd. When did that franchise tag go into effect?
The first week of March, wasn't it?
March 7th. 5 days after he requested a trade.
So Baltimore basically said, hey, you're not getting traded, buddy. You're staying here.
It's Baltimore being fuckery. And then, so, there was an interview that somebody did with John Harbaugh this weekend. And
Harbaugh handled it great.
He did. He really did. But at the same time, it's also like, I don't know. You dodged that question really hard. Granted, you did it right. You dodged the question correctly, but you still
But you
dodged
still
the
dodged.
question.
Right. Yep. And then during the Bernie Kosar show, Ozzie Newsome, Ravens GM, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Ozzie Newsome made an appearance, and he was saying that he was talking with the owner, Steve Bisciotti,
Bishotti.
Bisciotti.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a dessert? That's a biscotti. Is a dessert. I'm
Uh,
hungry. Sorry. So he's talking with Ravens owner Steve. Say the name.
Steve Bishotti. Come on,
Steve
it's
Bisciotti.
Italian. Your girlfriend's Italian. Come on.
Gabagool.
Gabagool.
So Newsom was talking and saying that Deshaun Watson contract did create some this is a direct quote that Deshaun Watson contract did create some problems. Now what we have to figure out is that going to be the normal or is that an outlier? And honestly, we don't know. End quote.
And again, this is literally what everyone's been saying, but this is probably the first time anyone has said it out loud.
I think not only is it the first time anyone has said it out loud, it's the first time that somebody high ranking has said it.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't you and me
Yeah.
speculating.
Like,
this is
it's
somebody
different.
in the
It's different
organization.
when all the other journalists say it, like Pat says it, or somebody on ESPN says it. It's different then when you have an actual GM saying that an owner has said this, and that the owner has, and that they say that every owner has acknowledged this issue. Like, that's a huge red mark, or a huge red flag in this kind of situation.
I completely agree. So like, and now this brings us back to like, does Lamar sit? Does he play for Baltimore? Like, I don't know.
So
I think he'll sit.
I think so too. I think, I think it was Pat that actually said it on yesterday's show. He made a really good comparison. It's no different than what Le'Veon Bell did a couple years ago.
The issue though is that did not work out well for Le'Veon Bell.
It really didn't.
He fell off after that.
He was never the same.
No.
He maybe had what, like 2 seasons after that, maybe.
Yeah, with the Jets and the Bucks.
Yeah, that was
Was
it.
the Bucks?
I think it was the Bucks.
I don't remember. I think it was too. But yeah, I mean, he sat out and then his career basically ended.
Yeah, that was it.
You know, and I think that Lamar is obviously he's a different person. No two people are the same. You know, I do think, and we've talked about it in this show a lot. I think Lamar has that love for the game. I think he truly wants to play football.
Oh, absolutely.
But I also think that he knows his worth and he knows what he brings to to a team, any team, and I also think he might think he's worth a bit more than what he is. I'm not saying that I would love Lamar Jackson on the Cowboys. I'm sure you would love him on the Panthers. I would love to have that type of a player in my locker room, but I also think that he might have a higher sense of self-worth than what most teams would be willing to pay him, which is why we have not seen anybody jump at the bit. Because he is on that non-exclusive franchise tag, he can go to other teams. The issue is those other teams, if they want Lamar, they have to give up 2 first-round picks and whatever new monster contract Lamar gets signed to. And not a lot of people are talking about that. That's 2 first-round picks and a monstrous contract that you'd be taking for Lamar.
Well, yeah, if you get the trade. For a trade aspect, yes. Now, my thing is as well, I can agree. You said it best. I think he is worth. I agree. I think he's worth. I think he thinks that he's worth a little bit more than what he's projected at.
Right.
And again, a lot of this does go into how that Deshaun Watson contract played out, because of the fact that he got $230 guaranteed, which is honestly outrageous in itself. And we've been saying since the very beginning, it's just like that contract is fuckery, and it's just it's gonna cause all sorts of problems, and it has legitimately caused all these problems now, because now everybody wants this guaranteed money. Now, do I agree with Lamar's argument about how he's put in all the sweat and blood into that team and has taken all those hits? He deserves to get paid, but if you give him the same guaranteed money that Deshaun got, then that becomes the norm. And then what's to say that your average Joe Schmo
What's to
quarterback that's maybe getting 30 mil a year right now for good play is now going to be asking for 50 mil guaranteed every year just because that's what all his peers are getting. Imagine, again, the whole point of the franchise tag is that it gives you the overall average. What is it? The overall average of the top 5 in your position?
Yep.
Okay. If the top 2 alone are getting big money, fully guaranteed contracts, what does that do for franchise tags in the future?
Yeah, who gives a fuck about the other 3?
Exactly. At that point, it's like...
If you've got Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar all getting close to 50 mil, who gives a shit what the bottom 2 are making? You're going to get close to 50 mil.
Now, I still think Lamar's worth 50 mil, but the way he's making himself, there were some people that were saying he was pushing for, like, in the 70 mil range, and that's outrageous.
But I also understand where Baltimore's coming from because he has missed a lot of time the last 2 seasons. He has not stayed healthy.
Okay, but at the same time, how much of that has been caused by him not having to do it all himself?
I also agree with that. He has no weapons, no playmakers, nothing.
They traded away all his playmakers.
Right. Like, I agree.
They should have never gotten rid of Hollywood Brown.
Lamar is the playmaker on the Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly. Baltimore... So I said this last year during our draft day special on stream, but the Ravens are one of those teams where the running back situation is always so shifty. I am never comfortable drafting a running back from Baltimore. And a lot of that also goes into the fact that Lamar is more of their wheels than the rest of their running backs. And again, that running back core also has been very unhealthy. A lot of them getting injured left and right. Gus Edwards,
They lost their top 3 running backs before the start of the season last year.
Exactly.
Top 3 running backs. And most teams don't have 3 running backs. Well, no, they do, but...
Yeah. J.K. Dobbin, Gus Edwards, and who's the third again?
Couldn't tell you.
I'm blanking right now. I'm pretty sure if we looked it up, it'd be... But either way, still, you're right. Like, when you lose all your running backs, and then your main running back is your running quarterback...
Problem.
Huge problem.
Problem.
We had that problem. We had that problem with Cam.
Yeah.
When D'Angelo and Jonathan Stewart kept getting hurt, and then we had to do something about that, Cam ended up having to carry the brunt of the weight on his legs. And look at where Cam's at. Look at how that affected Cam's play over the years. Like, I'm not going to say look at where Cam's at now because, I mean, Cam is actively still trying to fight for a position now. But, yeah.
His direct quote was there ain't 32 motherfuckers better than me.
I love how as soon as he said that, everyone on social media started going, the 32 quarterback's better than him. And it was every starting quarterback. Yep. With the exception of, like, I think for Carolina, they actually put C.J. Stroud up there already.
Yeah, they did.
So, speaking of which, we did not put this in the notes. I want to address this, though, because I forgot to write this down. There's been a lot more discussion about what the Panthers are going to do with that first round pick, with that first number 1 pick. They've worked out Bryce Young. They've worked out C.J. Stroud. A lot of people were making it seem like C.J. Stroud is just ready to go. You got Josh McCown over here telling people, "Oh yeah, we could shoot some hoops out in Charlotte." Like, they're clearly like they're buttering people up. I'm now out on the Anthony Richardson idea. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Anthony Richardson falls down to number 4 in the Colts, and that those top 2 picks are really gonna be Stroud and Young.
I agree.
Do I think Stroud is ready?
No. Sorry, but the stigma of Ohio State quarterback is just too much.
Not only that, but again, he's still young. He's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. Something like that. I get that he's, like, being set up for success with the coaching and the other playmakers that we have. Like, the other quarterbacks that we're going to have. The veterans that are going to be supporting him. But, I don't know. There's way too many variables in place right now.
So, let's move on to some free agency news from the past week.
Sure.
After.
Thank God, because free agency is slowing down finally.
So last week, right after we went off the air, The Cowboys announced two big moves. We signed running back Ronald Jones. I like the pickup. I like the pickup. You know, obviously we let Zeke walk, so got to get some other legs out there, especially with Tony Pollard's leg being broken.
And
you know,
TP and Rojo is still a great backfield.
Yeah. And then we also re-signed linebacker Dante Fowler. So, cool.
Also a good move. The Jets signed McCole Hardman for 1 year, and then immediately trade away Elijah Moore to the Browns. What do you think about that?
I think it's smart. I mean, McCole Hardman will be a great deep threat for Aaron Rodgers when he gets there.
Not only that, but I'd say that McCole Hardman is not a full-on upgrade from Elijah Moore, but it is an upgrade.
So I think they're very similar players, except McCole Hardman has the body of work to go with it because he's been in the league a little bit longer.
Level of experience. That's the only thing I think. But I think Elijah Moore still, like, with his youth, he still has a lot going for him. I think the trade to the Browns needed a good receiver.
I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not McCole and the Browns get Elijah Moore. I think it was a solid pickup for the Jets and a solid trade for both the Jets and the Browns.
I fully agree.
The Jets get more draft capital because they traded him away. They got 2 picks for him, and I think that those are the picks that they're going to ultimately end up using to get Aaron Rodgers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. So I saw, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think this is in the notes, I read somewhere during the last 7 days that they have worked out the picks that they want to trade for this season. But the issue now between the Jets and the Packers is what they want to do for 2024 compensation.
That makes sense. I can see that.
I think we'll see I think we'll get this trade done within the next month before the draft.
Absolutely. It's again, especially like him speaking it into existence on Pat's show. Like, I think that has a lot to do with it. It's basically saying, no, this is gonna happen whether you like it or not. You guys just need to work out the numbers. The fact that they've already worked out the 2023 numbers, already a good sign. 2024, obviously, like, when it comes to dealing draft picks for later years, it's always kind of iffy because you never really know what's gonna happen there. Great example of that. This week, the Panthers actually traded Zane Gonzalez, former kicker, to the Niners for a conditional 2025 late round pick. Like, conditional late round pick 2 years out for a kicker. I mean, makes sense. Now, why we would be trading a kicker? Obviously, for those of you that don't remember, the Panthers had a lot of struggles in the kicking room last year. Zane Gonzalez was starting at first, was not very long tenured with the team. And then he got injured. I think it was like week 2, week 3. And because of that's when we bring in Eddie Pinheiro, who then started 12 games. Was very shifty at first, missed a lot of kicks, but by the end of the season, he had really put it together. I think we've been struggling to find our new kicker ever since Graham Gano left.
Yep.
And it's just been a carousel ever since. Do I like Pinheiro? Not entirely, but I'll take it.
Need a kicker.
You need a kicker. And he's still a good kicker. He's not the best kicker, but he's still a good kicker.
Yeah. Speaking of the Panthers, you want to talk about who they signed? Yeah,
DJ Shark. Improving that wide receiver core. Let's look at these playmakers that we have on this team now. So again, we're talking about what they're going to do with that first round pick, which quarterback they're going to take. Look at who's going to be surrounding him now on that field. Who are your playmakers? Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Shark, Hayden Hurst. Complete change up from last year.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. And the number 1 pick. Whoever it is, whether it's Stroud or it's Young, is an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's I like a lot, and obviously this show is a little more biased towards the Panthers and the Cowboys because those are our respective teams.
Yes.
But you are the Panthers side of that, and as the resident Cowboys fan, I like a lot of what you guys have done this offseason.
And I've been saying it for weeks now. I'm very happy with what we've got. I am very happy. The only thing is, I think we've just been overpaying.
I agree with that, but also both of our teams have been very active this offseason.
Oh, absolutely.
Both of our teams have, which is totally out of the norm for Dallas.
Yeah, you guys are
Totally out of
normally
the
really
norm.
quiet during off seasons.
Yeah. So moving from the Panthers to the Cowboys, well, former Cowboy, Ezekiel Elliott has made a list of the teams that he would like to play for. This is not an indication of if those teams are going to sign him. This is basically just his version of Aaron Rodgers' wish list. He listed 3 teams. Zeke says that he would like to play for either the Jets, the Bengals, or the Eagles. I put in the notes that if he goes to Philly, I will burn my Zeke jersey on air. Now, I don't want everybody to say, "Oh, that's so stupid." Look, I get it's a business. I get he's got to get paid. I get he wants to get paid. I get that he wants to play the game.
But you just hate the Eagles that much.
But I hate the Eagles that much that if he joins the Eagles, I will burn my jersey on air.
I would pay to see that. That being said, what do you think about him going to the Jets and including himself in that whole mix?
Would love it. I think if the Jets pick up Zeke and Aaron Rodgers and all the other moves that they made, they are selling out for a Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention, again, let's not forget, that makes a backfield of Zeke and Breece Hall, which Breece Hall was having a great year last year until he got injured.
Yeah. I also like Zeke going to Cincy. Him and Mixon in the same backfield?
Oh, yeah. That would also be good. I think that's also Cincinnati making a play for taking at least the division.
Yeah. I do think that if he goes, it's funny because he didn't want to take the pay cut to stay in Dallas. But if he goes to the Jets or the Bengals, he is not the starter.
I would disagree.
You'd start Zeke over Mixon?
I think Zeke would be your first 2 plays, and then Mixon becomes your third down back. You mix it all up. Here's the thing, Mixon.
The other way around. I think it'd be the other way around.
You think so?
I think because Zeke's good in short yardage situations.
Yeah, but Mixon's also injury prone lately. That's the only reason I say that.
But I think if he goes to Philly, Philly is probably his best chance of starting day one.
Agreed. Especially now they got rid of Miles Sanders.
They lost Miles Sanders, and they
really get rid of him. Yeah, they just lost him. Yeah.
Right.
But
they still have Gainwell and Boston Scott, but I don't think either one of those guys are every down caliber running backs.
No way. And then on top of that, so say he goes to the Jets with that whole monster of a team that they're building. I think he starts over Breece Hall.
Maybe initially, I don't think he would have it the whole season.
No, it would probably be kind of like how it happened with TP. They switch it up halfway through the season.
Yep.
So moving on from that, Bobby Wagner returning to the Seattle Seahawks for a year.
Yep, I think it's cool. He'll probably retire after this season. Maybe, I don't know. That's purely speculatory. But maybe I could see why he would want to go to Seattle, retire a Seahawk. Look, we see it time and time again with players returning, signing one-day contracts to retire with the team they spent their years with.
Yeah, but this is a full-on 1-year deal, so.
Right, but remember, Wagner's got 2 rings now. He's got one with Seattle and one with LA. So
that's true.
Bringing a lot of veteran leadership in there. He's familiar with that building and the coaching staff, so I think it's a solid pickup for Seattle. And then our boy Schrags, Peter Schrager. He's not really our boy. He's just a journalist. I don't know why I said that.
I don't know.
Peter Schrager reports that the Bengals have signed Irv Smith to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, so that news broke last night while I was working on notes, and I was just like, oh, hey, good for them. So that's another tight end off the board. Again, you're replacing Hayden Hurst with Irv Smith. Honestly, I'd say about the same caliber of player.
I think it might be a slight downgrade.
I think it might be a slight upgrade, only just because of the fact that Irv Smith has his youth going for him.
Okay, I give you that one. That's fair. That's a good argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually it for free agency from this last week. Thank God.
Right? The weeks upon weeks of having to sit here and go through listing upon listing, and just I realized halfway through, nobody gives a shit about the money side of things unless it's a big money contract.
Right.
Naming off if somebody's getting $3 million for a year. We're more focused on the year than the $3 million.
Right. So that brings us to XFL. And
yeah,
buddy,
did you catch any XFL this weekend?
Unfortunately, no. I missed every single. I didn't even see highlights. I missed everything XFL this weekend between work and then looking for this house and all the legwork I had to put in with that. I have nothing to add to the XFL notes other than just my own thoughts on the notes that you put down. So I'm gonna let you take this train.
Sure. So honestly, you didn't miss much. I also, this was like, I ended up going back through watching a lot of highlights. I didn't get really a chance to sit down. It was a busy week for me too. But looking at the highlights, getting a feel for how everything went. First off, you had the game between Orlando and Seattle. I know your boy Danucci. Danucci is like doing good, but Seattle is now on a 4-win streak. But again, you beat the worst team in the league. And honestly, Orlando is starting to put it together. I think they're really starting to put it together. I think they're not that far away from a win, but they're out. They're not making the playoffs.
No.
There's no way in hell. And again, this is another L you had to take. I think the team is still putting it together, and they're getting there, but it's just, I don't know. Also, Seattle being on that 4-win streak, I don't care what anyone says, I think Seattle is still kind of a 500 team. There's still too many mistakes that are being made. Yeah, that's all I can really say there.
Fair enough.
Moving on. Oh, also, what I put in the notes as well was that the entire hard cam of the side of the field was empty. Most of the other seats were too. There was probably only 200 people in attendance at that game. Granted, it's Orlando. Granted, they're 0-5, now 0-6. Can you blame them? But again, it's just like, it's not really looking good if you want to make the XFL a thing. You're not going to be moving ticket sales like that.
No, and Orlando's a pretty solid market because there's no NFL team around them. But they're also competing with like the largest conglomerate in the world, which is Disney.
Exactly. Well, speaking of people not showing up to games, we got the Battlehawks at Vegas. I still think the Battlehawks are the second best team in the league. I think that AJ McCarron is really putting it together. They have playmakers all over that field. Mateo Durant, former Duke player.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
I know I'm friends with his football coach from high school.
Oh, nice. He put up some really good plays. Austin Prohl, also doing really good on the receiving side of the house. AJ McCarron was throwing him darts left and right. Fun fact, also, while I was researching this.
Hey, buddy, why does that last name sound so familiar?
Austin Prohl. That's because he is the son. I thought it was originally when I was doing the research, I thought it was the brother. He is the son of Panthers great Ricky Prohl.
Panthers legend.
Well, he was not really a legend for the Panthers. He was more so. He was a longtime wide receivers coach there. But
wasn't he in that first Super Bowl back with Jake Delhomme against the Patriots?
I think he might have been, actually. I could be wrong. But I mean, he made his way around a lot of different teams in the 90s and the early 2000s. He played, I think it was like 17 seasons. Went on to become the Carolina wide receivers coach, and now he's the wide receivers coach in St. Louis, which is ironic because one of the people he's coaching is his son.
I love that though. I think
I like it too. I think it's pretty cool.
His dad probably coached, Austin's probably had his dad as a coach since Little League. Like,
oh, I don't doubt it.
Why not continue it into the big leagues too?
Mm-hmm. But I brought that up as well. Like that transition also was because of the fact that that crowd as well in Vegas, again, they're 1-5 now, and that field, that stadium was kind of dead too. Now I've got a buddy of mine, shouts out Donnie, that lives in Vegas, and I actually asked him if he planned on going to any Vegas Vipers games. And he's like, no, more than likely I'm going to be going to Golden Knights games.
Yeah.
Again, like you mentioned how Orlando has all of Disney to compete with, Vegas still has all of Vegas in general.
Yeah, and also, the Golden Knights are good.
A lot of Vegas teams right now are good.
Yeah.
Them, the Aces. Also, I don't know if we put it in the notes, but Tom Brady bought a share of the Aces.
He sure did. He sure did. Good for Brady. Just spend all that money.
Right? I mean, what else is he
Come
gonna
back.
do?
Come back to the league when you're broke. Please don't.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Lavert Hill. 2 picks for St. Louis. Starting to give Michael Joseph a run for his money.
Yep.
That being said, I also, and I have this in the notes, that. So this is how I put it in the notes, is that I kind of want to see the rematch between Orlando and Vegas now, because with the Guardians starting to put it together, I think they could be better than Vegas and could actually eke out a win now. We won't get that rematch, obviously, because they're both at the bottom of their divisions, and they're not making the playoffs, and they're in opposite divisions, so you're not getting a second game out of them.
Right.
St. Louis, though, I'm not looking forward to seeing them in the playoffs because I think it's inevitable. That is still probably the best defense in the league, and yeah.
I think that'll be a good matchup, DC and St. Louis.
I think the rematch.
I mean, it already has been.
Well, and again, let's not forget, St. Louis is 4-2 now, and those 2 losses both were from DC.
Yep.
So, yeah. San Antonio, Arlington, another snooze fest. First off, why did they put them in back-to-back weeks? What kind of scheduling is that?
That's the issue you run into when you've only got a fucking, what is it, 10-team league?
18 league, yeah.
It had to happen somewhere.
2 games each against your people in your division, plus one game each against everybody in the other division.
Yep. So I mean, at least with the NFL, when they do it, they'll do like, Panthers Saints, then the Panthers have another game, and then they'll do Panthers Saints again the next 2 weeks.
Like you at least break it up a little bit. There is no such thing as 2 teams facing off against each other week after week.
The only time that happens is week 17 in the wild card.
Yeah, that's the only time it can really happen.
Yep.
And you don't see that often. So.
No. But yeah, another snooze fest.
Yeah. I will say that Luan Willingham touchdown. I don't know if you saw the highlights for that yet. Go out and look at that highlight. It was a beautiful touchdown catch. Okay. This man, he worked some magic to make that one. Let me tell you. Other than that, and a couple good defensive plays. Again, a low-scoring game. Kind of fell asleep watching the highlights. Actually, no, I did fall asleep watching the highlights last night. Legitimately. It was just, there was nothing that jumped off the page about that game. And the fact that we got it 2 weeks in a row, and the away team loses both. The away team is the one that wins for each of those games. So that's the other thing too, is that San Antonio and Arlington now splits the series.
Okay.
Now this is where we get into that discussion about the division breakdown again, because the way these divisions are broken down, one of those 2 teams is going to the playoffs.
Right.
I don't think either one of those teams deserves to go to the playoffs. They're both sloppy. They both have yet to really put it together. I think they're both really 500 teams at this point. And it's no telling which way they're going to go.
Somebody had to win the NFC South last season.
This is also true. Well, I mean, Houston's going to win the South regardless, but then you have either Arlington or San Antonio that's going to move on and be just easy fodder for whoever they face.
Right.
Which will most likely be DC if they seed them properly. But, yeah. This now puts the Brahmas at 2-4. This puts, why am I failing to think of Arlington's team?
Renegades.
That puts the Renegades at 500. Yeah. There's just, again, this was such a boring game. I feel bad for those teams. That being said, this week was all about one game. We've been looking forward to it for the past couple weeks. We finally got it last night. DC versus Houston, the 2 best teams in the league, division leaders facing off. My God, what a game. So, Houston comes out scores first. It's 8-0, and then DC just rips off for 26 unanswered. I think that Houston's defense is still pretty good. I think that Houston was still playing really great as a team in general. But what killed Houston in this game was pass interference after pass interference after pass interference. Just watching the highlights, watching the highlights alone, they had like 8 interference calls that led to giant chunks of yardage. Honestly, that saved DC. It really did save the defenders, because if it wasn't for that, that would have been a lot more of a struggle of a game. That that Houston defense was looking pretty good, but again, what can you do? I mean,
I think DC is running away with this league.
Oh, absolutely. It's not even a question now. I think that I think the Roughnecks defense is still one to watch in that case, because they did a really good job at shutting down the run game. DC's got the best run game in the league, hands down, not even a question. And for the most part, the run game was shut down. This was mostly Jordan Teamu using his arm. This was a lot of passing attack, and showing that they're still a very multi-dimensional team. That they do have, it's not just all the runs. They know how to really like change their gameplay up and figure it out. Cole McDonald comes in and replaces Brandon Silvers late in the third for Houston, and started ripping off some great passes. I think they might have to look into switching up their starting quarterback situation. They might have to investigate that. I don't have anything against Brandon Silvers, but Cole McDonald played amazing last night.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have to acknowledge things where they are. It's kind of like how I said with Orlando. Once they took Paxton Lynch out and put in Quentin Dormady this week was really good for Orlando. He was part of the reason that team was really starting to put it together. But having, just in general though, it's one of those things you have to look into. I was struggling to figure out where I was going with that. Yeah, so that pretty much does it for the XFL though.
Yeah.
DC is 6-0. We're running away with the league.
Yep.
Can't go wrong there.
So, and then that'll just bring us to our miscellaneous football notes before we move over to the heavy hitter of WrestleMania.
My God, we weren't kidding. We are speeding through this episode.
Yep. Evan McCourty said that the Patriots locker room was split last season between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi.
I can see why.
Same.
Zappi was a revelation last year.
Yeah, and Mac Jones definitely regressed in his year too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Now, do you think Mac Jones pulls it back together for season 3, or does he lose the job to Zappi?
I think he's given the opportunity. But again, I think this makes it a little bit easier for Belichick to pull him.
I agree.
He starts shit in bed.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's funny though, because this also is not in the notes, but Belichick was recently asked, what is something that should keep the fans optimistic? Mm-hmm. And he gave the most Bill Belichick response ever.
Oh boy.
You know what he said? What should fans be optimistic about? The last 25 years.
That's about as good of a Belichick answer as you can get. You're right.
Yep.
I'm not even mad about that. You can't be wrong. Like, let's be real. Even if your team starts going down the shitters, you had 25 years of greatness. And I know that's stretching it out, obviously, because it wasn't like they just magically put it together. I think it was like 98 was when they were still in like the dumps. But
yes.
Like, at the very least, through the 2000s.
You don't know what this century. You don't know what a losing season is this century.
Exactly. You can afford to take an L once in a while.
Right. Next, we've got a couple of lists here.
Yeah?
So first is a list of the teams with the most attended games of the 2022 NFL season. That
was a
includes
revelation.
home and away.
Mm-hmm.
Top of that list, no real big surprise there. My Dallas Cowboys.
Kind of a runaway too, like 150,000 more than the next team down, which was surprisingly the Jets.
Yeah. What's really crazy about this is that only 1, 2, 3, 4, half these teams had losing records.
Also true. Denver came in number 3, just barely.
Yeah, we're not going to list out all the total numbers. But so yeah, the Cowboys at 1, the Jets at 2, the Broncos at 3, Giants at 4, Rams at 5, Green Bay Packers at 6, 49ers at 7, Chiefs at 8, your Panthers at 9, and then at 10 was the Bucks.
Are any of those teams surprising you on that list?
The Broncos are surprising with how
Same.
bad they were.
Same.
And honestly, the Panthers was a little surprising because you guys didn't have a great year.
I can agree with that.
You
Honestly, I don't think we deserve to be on that list. Don't get me wrong. Well, and it says, then again, that also says everything about how faithful the Carolina fan base is. Like,
right.
We love this team no matter what. And
right.
It's just how we are.
Again, and that is also why I was not surprised about the Cowboys, because the Cowboys have transcended football. They are a brand at this point.
Exactly. And that's why they're number. So, again, we don't want to list off all the numbers, but if it says anything, Dallas was at 1.4 mil. The Jets were at 1.25 mil. And then everything from the Jets to the Bucks is all within like 50,000 of each other.
Yeah.
So it's a very narrow margin between 2 through 10.
It also helps when our stadium can hold 100,000 people.
Also true.
The other list that I wanted to go over was the one I messaged you or sent you last night.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually pulling it up right now on my phone.
Yeah. This list is total snaps played in the last 5 years by players that a team drafted themselves.
Again, running away with it at number 1
was the Dallas Cowboys.
By a solid 6,000 lead.
Dallas had essentially 92,000 snaps played by players we have actually drafted.
Now, without going through the entire list, because that's just so much, it also lists the bottom 10. Compare that 91.9 thousand plays played by the Cowboys. Compare that to the Las Vegas Raiders, 11.9 thousand.
That's it.
Drastic change. Now
that is an 80,000 snaps different.
Now, if it says anything, also the difference between Vegas and then the next team down, which was the Jets, over 35,000 plays.
Yeah.
That's a lot of difference. And it basically shows that Vegas is all about buying their team.
And it goes to show that Vegas is not really necessarily good at drafting, because look at the players. You know, 2 of the players that they drafted in Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett are no longer in the league.
Exactly. That was another thing I was going to bring up, too, is that some of their draft picks have just been, like, complete duds. Which, they've always had a history of drafting duds, so, yeah.
And then our last piece of football news before we get over to the wrestling side of our home.
And this just broke before we went on the air.
This was literally the last note typed before we hit record. A group including Magic Johnson submits a fully financed bid for the Commanders that meets the $6 billion asking price of Dan Snyder.
Okay, first things first. There goes my Jeff Bezos idea.
Yeah, that plea from last week aged like milk.
Oh, well, it still exists. This is not finalized.
Keep it away from Will Levis. Keep it away from Will Levis.
No, but no, like it's still possible, but we have an actual bid on the table now for the Commanders. This is starting to seem more and more real every day that Snyder is leaving. I mean, it's felt that way ever since he cleared out his office the other week, but it's seeming more and more and more like.
I also think it's important to note that this group is led by billionaire Josh Harris. I don't know who that is. I don't know Mr. Harris.
That name sounds familiar. Hang on.
Are you going to the Google machine?
I am.
Yeah, well, he's going to look up. So this group is led by billionaire Josh Harris, but it also includes Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is a big. I believe he's got his hand in he's got his hand in the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he has his hand in the Lakers. And I also believe he has his hands in a WNBA team. I just can't think of the name off the top. Is it the Sparks?
I think so.
Might be the Sparks.
It might be. All right, so I just looked up Josh Harris. Co-founded Apollo Global Management in 1990, which is now one of the world's largest asset management firms. He's the co-founder of Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, a sports holding company that owns the Sixers and the New Jersey Devils, among other sporting ventures. He's also a general partner of the Crystal Palace Football Club of the English Premier League.
So with him owning the, you said Sixers and Devils, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense for Washington because then he's not far from Philly or from Jersey.
Mm-hmm. And well, it also says that he's from Chevy Chase, so
Okay.
I mean he's DC born for the most
Okay.
part.
So, I mean, I think anybody can do a better job. I think you and I could run the Commanders better than Dan Snyder.
Exactly, but that's against the point.
But, like, look, again, I'm a
Yo,
Cowboys
y'all
fan.
trying to hire me to be a GM? Let's go.
Run it. Run it.
Let's go.
But yeah, as a Cowboys fan, obviously I hate Washington, but I've said it on this show, man. They don't deserve the hell and the pain that they've gone through with Dan Snyder.
Not at all. All right. Let's move on to wrestling. We've got a lot of wrestling to cover because it's Mania week, baby. It's the best time of year to be a wrestling
This is our
fan.
go home show for WrestleMania.
It really is. You and me in years past, this has been like the week that has gotten us hyped more than anything, just because of knowing how much goes down. Like WrestleMania week has evolved over the years to become just the center of the wrestling universe.
Like if I still lived up there near you, I would be requesting off this weekend, even though it is the Final Four weekend, to watch WrestleMania with you.
Yeah. And again, that's mostly just, and there's nothing that says you can't jump into the feeds. Again, I will be in Discord watching these live this weekend. So if you're watching this online and it's before WrestleMania weekend, feel free to join the Discord, and we'll be doing live watch parties and discussing all of this while we're going. I want to hold off on the FTR news because that's just a whole bunch of mess in itself. We'll get to that. Let's talk about these.
Mania weekend.
Yeah, let's just start with these Mania weekend notes because this is the important stuff. We start off with last Tuesday. We get NXT. We get the face-off between Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't predict a can they coexist right now tag team match. But sure enough, that's what happened. And I was so ready to start cursing up a storm. And then they actually had a backstage segment where Carmelo confronts Trick Williams for setting up the tag team match. And he actually made sense of us. He's like, I'm giving you the cheat codes. You get to learn the way he moves in the ring. He actually explained it well why he put that match together. And was like, I'm giving you the cheat codes. And it's like, son of a bitch. He's right.
That's so smart. And like,
this is the first time anybody's done it. It is the best booking in wrestling right now. I swear, Sean is doing it right.
Yeah, I love that they explained it because so many times do we just can they coexist? And
I mean, just last week we got the Bianca Asuka can they go exist?
Right.
This week on Raw we got the 8-man tag for the 4 teams that are in the wrestling showcase, but can they coexist? It's one of the most tired tropes in wrestling, but if you can do it right, it works. And in this situation, they did it right.
It worked. Yep.
Also, for news for this weekend for Stand and Deliver, we're getting Dragon Lee's debut in a 5-way for the North American Championship. I am excited for this. I've been a longtime fan of Dragon Lee when he was kicking it around with Takahashi in New Japan. Those are some of the greatest matches. Now, do I still hold a little bit of am I still harboring a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for here? Not hatred. It's too strong of a word. Displeasure for nearly ending Takahashi's career. Injuries happen. Everyone's Takahashi's back wrestling on normal, so we're good.
Yep.
Last week, we mentioned that we were getting a El Hijo del Vikingo versus Omega match on Dynamite. It main evented the show, and my God, did it deliver. Although I will say, one thing that did surprise me, and I don't know why I'd ever realized this, Vikingo is small.
Yeah.
He's very small. He's smaller than me.
When I saw you put that in the notes, I was like, what?
Right? And so that was actually one of the things that got highlighted in that match against Kenny, was that he's so much smaller than Kenny Omega. And I was like, this is your Megas champion?
God,
I mean, okay.
Match, bro.
It was such a good match, though.
I went and sought out that match, and was not disappointed.
Vikingo moves like his moves are like butter. That 630 he did through the table.
Oh, oh, be still my beating heart. So beautiful.
And to top it all off, Vikingo will be defending his AAA Mega Championship at Supercard of Honor this weekend against Commander, who also had his own amazing standout match on AEW television this past week, or the week before, in that what was it? He did that in the Face of the Revolution match was where he debuted. That's gonna be a heater of a match. It's gonna be one to keep your eye out for. I'd say that's probably two of the best wrestlers in AAA right now getting a U.S. audience, and that's good for them.
I agree.
Also being set up for Supercard of Honor, their card, like Tony Khan really had to like scramble to put some stuff together, but he packed that card out. Obviously, one of the big questions that's been going on, since we lost Jay Briscoe earlier this year, was what's going to happen to the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. Because obviously Mark Briscoe can't defend them by himself, and it would feel weird if he defended it against anybody, if he teamed with anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, it would look too weird. So we're getting a 5-way ladder match with The Kingdom, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Aussie Open, Los Faction Ingobernable, LFI, Rush and Dralistico, the Lucha Bros, and Top Flight. That's 5 amazing tag teams that will probably set everything on fire.
Yep, that is going to be carnage.
Appropriate for Supercard of Honor.
Yep.
And then it's not in the notes, but it is on the pick sheet. As for Mark Briscoe, he's actually challenging Samoa Joe for the TV title.
Yep.
I kind of want to see Mark Briscoe win that one. But
I think he will.
We'll get to picks on that one, but I think he's just such an amazing character on his own that like.
Yeah. Were they real life brothers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, real life brothers. Mark was always the funny one of the two. Like he was clearly like Jay was more serious. Mark has always been the more like comedic one. So it's kind of sad to see Mark Briscoe have to like do things so seriously, but like he brings his charm to it every time.
Yeah. Mickie James, bro.
Yeah, Mickie James.
She has a broken rib, so she will not be able to defend the Knockouts Championship against Jordan Grace at Sacrifice,
which was last week. She instead faced I forget who she faced last week in her place. They gave her another match to hold her over. I think it was Giselle Shaw. I can't remember. Anyways, they announced that at Multiverse United, which is going to be Thursday night, I believe, we're getting a 4-way women's match, and that's going to be for basically the number one
contender.
Yeah, number one contender for that Impact Knockouts title. Masha Slamovich, Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, Maya Yamashita. I'm familiar with about half of those names.
Right
what?
A lot of firepower right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with all of them. However, again, like, you've got Masha, I think, well, we'll get to the picks on that, but I'm just going to go ahead and show my hand right now. You've got Masha Slamovich, the current reigning GCW World Champion. It's impossible that she doesn't run away with that. Now, the other caveat to this is that if Mickie James is cleared, so the winner of that 4-way match will face Jordan Grace at Rebellion on April 16th for the Knockouts Championship. If Mickie James is cleared by then, she gets added as a triple threat.
I like that.
I like it too. It was very similar to what I thought they were going to end up doing with Roxy on NXT, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do with injuries.
I also like that they blend reality with kayfabe.
I agree.
Like, hey, look, she's hurt, but if she can get cleared, have it. And it gives wrestling more of that realistic feel.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, this is still technically Mickey's retirement tour.
Right.
She was still originally when she was competing for the title. it was I'm either winning this title or I'm hanging up my boots.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this stands for her with her career now, but if she's still like, I mean, she's definitely on the tail end of her career. You got to think she's been going since the early 2000s. Like,
Oh yeah.
she's got she's got a longer career than most women.
Mm-hmm.
She's already earned all the accolades. If she hangs it up after this, it's whatever. But like to get one more run out of her in Impact, absolutely.
Yeah. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Speaking of injuries forcing vacated titles in Impact, Josh Alexander has announced that he tore his tricep and has been forced to vacate the Impact World Championship. This was insanely disappointing, considering that Josh Alexander was on the record-breaking run.
Like you said earlier, though, man, people get hurt. Look, wrestling might be the outcomes might be predetermined, but
You know what I actually compare this to? When Batista was on his record-breaking run, and then he got injured and had to vacate the title.
yeah,
It instantly reminded me of that situation.
you have a guaranteed babyface pop upon return, though.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and he's one of the Josh Alexander has completely made a name for himself over the past 2-3 years in Impact. This is a guy that was formerly seen as just like a B-bit player, and he became the face of that he became the John Cena of that organization for a hot minute. And then him on this record-breaking title run, he's had some great defenses too. You look at the list. You look at the list of people that he defended his title against. My God, I'm gonna pull this up just so we can acknowledge this.
While you pull that up, I'll get to our last non-WWE note of our Mania weekend notes. Yuta and Shibata was also announced for Supercard of Honor.
Injected into my veins. Holy shit, I want it.
Match, bro.
I just in general, the fact that we're getting Shibata back in the ring, like after he almost suffered that like career-ending injury, like that's it. So let's see if I can pull up. Hang on, Josh Alexander title defenses. I'm getting all the information about his injury, but nothing about all the people that he's faced. You know what? There's another way to do this. Cage match. Where you at?
Cage match. Yeah, man, fucking torn tricep, dude. Like that's, oh god, that's painful.
Oh yeah. That's the same thing that Cena suffered, isn't it? No, that was a torn pec.
Oh yeah, it was pec.
It was pec. Tricep, I believe, was Triple H.
I thought that was quads. No, that's Kevin Nash.
Triple H was his quads too. In 2002, that was his quads, but I think his triceps tear was like that was like recent, far more recent. That was like 10 years ago.
Right.
Josh Alexander. Matches. Here we go. So, for the world title, he has had defenses against Rich Swann. Those are both indie names. Full Metal Mayhem against Bully Ray. He defended. That's an indie match. Kevin Blackwood. That's technically indie, but doesn't count. Defense against Moose. Defense against Speedball Mike Bailey. Defense against Frankie Kazarian.
Those are some high caliber names.
Yeah. A no contest between him and Alex Hammerstone for belt versus belt for the Major League Wrestling title. Let's see. And then he won the. No, wait, no, that's a different. That's a different title. Bobby Fish, Eddie Edwards. We've got a lot of huge names here that he's defended against. Masha Slamovich, even.
So yeah, it sucks that he got hurt.
Like all these
But
names that he's got, just a long list of defenses that honestly really displays like how much of a revelation his run was. Also right after he won the title, defense against Tomohiro Ishii.
nice,
I forgot about that one.
nice.
And then of course when he beat Moose for the title. So that's a lot of big names that he wrestled and actually defended the title against.
Absolutely, absolutely. And but again, like I said, that pop when he comes back from injury is going to be
Yeah,
a huge pop.
agreed.
That brings us over to the E.
All the rest of the E news. So there's reports that Triple H has huge plans for the Raw after Mania, including multiple NXT call-ups, a debut, a return. Who do you think the return's going to be?
So I think the debut is Switchblade. And I think the return is Randy Orton.
I agree with both of those. Absolutely.
All right, so then let's throw two more names out there.
Okay. Returns.
Don't say Matt Riddle because that's a cop out.
I was getting ready to say Matt Riddle too. You son of a bitch. Shit. Who else could be returning?
I got one for you.
What's up?
Big E.
The pop if that happens.
Deafening. I gave myself chills just saying his name.
Same. Just the thought of Big E coming back after Mania would be.
And then for the debut, how cool would it be if on the Raw after Mania, hyped in, you hear, "Say yeah."
That would technically be a return. And it won't happen though. We do have to go back to this FTR news actually. We'll get into that after we cover all this stuff for Mania weekend, just because there's just so much going on, and this is still like the highlights of everything.
But you're right, that would be a return. So I don't know who else the debut could be.
I have no there could be other debuts that I'm just not thinking of.
Oh, Cardona.
That would be a return.
No, it would not. No, it would not. It would be a debut. It would be a debut because
it would be the debut of Matt Cardona.
It would be the debut of Matt Cardona because he said that Zack Ryder is dead.
Okay, that's a technicality though. It's a technicality. Now, granted, I could see Matt Cardona coming in as. I could see him coming in as Matt Cardona after they let Cody come back as American Nightmare, but
that's like saying that if the Young Bucks jump ship, there would be a return because they worked a few velocity matches.
No, that would be counted as a debut, a proper debut.
Fair, but I think realistically we're getting Switchblade and Randy.
It's got to be Switchblade as the debut. It can't be anybody else. And honestly, all signs point to it. It's bound to be.
And if it wasn't Switchblade, I think it might be a letdown.
You think it would kind of be like that when they made that big announcement of like a big WWE star, a Hall of Famer coming into AEW, and then it turned out to be Big Show, and it was a kind of a letdown when everybody was expecting somebody else.
Where they had the massive announcement and everybody thought long.
That one too. That was the other one I was trying to think of.
Oh no! What's the top notes? Give me a second. Scroll. Okay. So yeah. I'm so my family's coming down this weekend. I'm very excited to see him. I haven't seen him since Christmas, but I am a little bummed that I know I'm not going to be able to watch Mania live, and I know I'm not going to be able to watch Raw live. Like I'm a little bummed about it.
Oh, whatever. You'll be fine.
I will be in Disney World during Mania night 2. So like if
there can be worse reasons to miss WrestleMania.
I'm taking my 5-year-old.
Yeah, you're taking your son to Disney. How can you go wrong with that?
Exactly. So it is what it is.
Speaking of missing things.
Yeah, nice fucking segue. Let's go. Reports are that Roman Reigns is likely to miss time after Mania. Most likely won't return until SummerSlam.
Come on, it's obvious that he's going to drop the title to Cody and he's going to take his long-earned vacation.
No. He's going to retain and return after he has his 1,000-day reign and drop it at SummerSlam to Cody. Spoiler for my picks.
I like the booking. I don't like the booking, but I like the booking.
He'll do pre-recorded segments that they'll pipe in on Raw and SmackDown, and then at SummerSlam, Cody gets his revenge.
I mean, if they're gonna do anything to fuck with the formula, that should be it.
It's not a prediction, that's a spoiler.
See, that only works if it actually happens. They haven't said that yet, so...
Here comes my Nostradamus moment.
So, I actually, there was a Nostradamus moment that I had in the notes, and then I deleted it because it didn't come true. So, we're not going to discuss it. But I don't know if you noticed that I had something in the notes that was labeled, mark this as a Nostradamus moment. That has since been deleted.
Yep. But I said it on air now. This is here forever. So if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Hey, that's the whole point of it. It's called Nostradamus because we're not always right.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Mr. Orton, there have been reports that Randy Orton will be in LA this week. And he'll be in LA representing WWE during Mania week. But they are unsure of what that capacity would be.
Again, that's further fueling the idea that he's going to be returning after Mania.
Honestly, man, even just having him backstage, seeing his friends before Mania, I think is cool for the guys and girls in the locker room.
He's still a
living legend.
A living legend. He is. He's a very good hand as a veteran. Everything that he brings to the table for the E just is amazing, and he's also one of those people that is clearly like a WWE for life guy. There's no way in hell that he goes to AEW.
I bet money I don't have that he will never leave that company.
Oh, absolutely.
Or another company.
Yeah. So, moving on, we had a lot of Ronda Rousey news this past week. Things popped off with her. So, per Fightful, news came out that a lot of the reason that there's been so much of her being left off TV and a lot of the creative changes was that she still has a fractured radius and she has yet to be cleared. Now, originally I had it in here that might be the reason why there's been very little mention of her in the lead up to Mania. And then she shows up on SmackDown the other night and is like, yeah, no, me and Shayna got added to the women's showcase match. Now, I like the idea that's going around of Ronda and Shayna winning that showcase match on night 1 and then challenging for the women's tag matches on night 2.
I don't hate that.
I think it would be great, and not to mention if they win it. Now, the reason it's also a big thing to mention this is that all of her creative plans had changed over the past couple months, drastically. So, if you'll remember back a couple months ago while she was still SmackDown Women's Champion, she faced Raquel Rodriguez on a random SmackDown in December. Yeah. And then immediately after that gets challenged by Charlotte, and then Charlotte just takes the belt from her. A lot of this is because all the creative had been changed by her request, as it turns out. So here's the original plans. I think it was Fightful Select that actually reported it first. But I know that, they were the ones that I got the news from, but I can't remember if they were the ones that broke the news. The original report was, the original plans that were in place was that the Ronda Raquel match was supposed to happen at the Rumble. Ronda was supposed to retain, and it was supposed to lead up to a Ronda versus Becky match at Mania. Which, I gotta agree, I think the ship's already sailed on that one.
Yeah.
That would have instead...
They could get it back with good storytelling, but it would require some work.
Yeah, it's not there right now, and that's the point. No. And then on the other side of the card, instead of Bianca Asuka, it was supposed to be Bianca Charlotte, which I would pay good money to see that too. I think the Bianca Asuka match is still going to be good, but at the same time, I feel like especially with how wishy-washy the booking has been, I think that further shows that they weren't really prepared for this Bianca Asuka feud.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
As it turns out, that it was Ronda's idea to pitch the creative for her to go to team with Shayna and go for the tag titles. And that's something that I've been calling for months, if not years now.
Yeah.
They keep trying to shoehorn Ronda in to the title picture when she's not quite built for it yet. I'm not saying she's not ready for it, because she's clearly, let's not discount, she's still great in the ring.
I agree.
Her promos still need a bit of work, but she's
Yep.
still amazing in the ring. She took to it very easily.
Yep. But she had a great rookie year.
Oh, amazing rookie year. But again, it's just that she needs work on the promos, and they just need better storytelling for her. Now, her idea of going,
make her a Paul Heyman girl.
I can obviously see that, but does she really need Heyman?
No, but Heyman's gonna need something when Roman's done.
Also, ooh, that's a good point. What's he gonna do after this whole bloodline thing?
Because if Roman does drop the titles at Mania, what's that mean for Paul Heyman?
He can't just go back to being the advocate for Brock, because there's a lot of talk that Brock's on his way out too.
That story's done.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's because again, like I think that the main event with Roman and Cody could go either way, honestly.
Yeah. And then
that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, and then the last bit of Rousey news also in there was that she had posted on Twitter, and she was taking shots at WWE's booking, specifically mentioning the program that her and Liv had last year, where she thought that booking could have been a lot better, that whole story could have been a lot better, if there wasn't, and I quote, a bunch of octogenarians in charge of the pencil.
And I like that. So what I do like about that is I like that she didn't bury Liv.
No, absolutely. It would be hard for anybody to bury Liv at this point. She's still a great hand. She's shown how much she works for it. She's won the title now. It's been well deserved. I think people are starting to take Liv a lot more seriously than they did in past years. So, getting a reigning endorsement from Ronda saying this whole feud should have been better, I think that says a lot.
Yep. Let's skip the spoof and end with that.
Yeah.
Who was announced for the Hall of Fame, bud?
It's only the same person that everyone's been rumoring for weeks now, Stacy Keibler.
Yep.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Congrats to Stacy Keebs.
It's not so much about her in-ring work as much as it has been about her managerial work and her work transcending the wrestling business.
Correct. And then the miscellaneous, the one note from Raw last night was that Cody ended Solo Sikoa's undefeated streak in the main event last night.
Do you think this was the right decision?
Yes.
I didn't at first, but after taking some thought on it, it makes sense. It would be stupid for Solo to win if Cody's being pushed up to be this guy that's ready to take the throne from Roman. If anybody's going to end Solo's streak at this point, it should have been Cody.
Yes, because if anybody's going to end Solo streak, it's going to be the same person that's going to end Roman's streak.
That's fair. It's very fair.
But I also think you could have not booked this match.
Also true.
Because what's Solo doing at Mania? Nothing.
Fuck all.
Nothing.
Maybe he'll be in the Andre the Giant battle royal on Friday night.
I'm sure he will.
Actually,
but that's also where I don't think he wins that. I think Lashley wins that because they took Lashley's Mania match away because Bray is out.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a really good point. I think it would be more damaging to put him in that battle royal than if he's not going to win it.
Yeah. But I mean, look. First of all undefeated streaks come to an end at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both.
You know which one actually hit me the other day that I completely forgot about? Kurt Angle's undefeated streak. Do you remember who he lost it to?
Wasn't it Eddie?
No. A debuting Taz at Royal Rumble 2000.
That's right. It was Taz.
I had completely forgotten about that, and then I was watching like a countdown list or something the other day, and it reminded me of that. I was just like, son of a bitch, that was a thing. I forgot all about that.
But yeah, I think I watched that same. I think it was Wrestle Talk.
I think so, yeah.
Or it might have been Parts of Unknown, same company.
One of them. But yeah, it was just the reminder that Taz debuted and beat Kurt Angle on his, and to end Kurt Angle's winning streak.
And if you ask Taz, he'll say that was the peak of his WWE career.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so I think him beating Solo is good because I remember for long-term viewers of this show that's only been going for 8 or 9 weeks. We did at one point do like breakdowns of the show of Raw, and one of the first times we broke it down, we said Cody was in a match with someone. And my biggest complaint was that he had just won the Rumble, and he shouldn't have been going that long with whoever. I think it was either Gable or Theory or somebody.
Gable. It was Gable. I remember that but at the same time, it was also because of the fact that they really wanted to put a spotlight on Gable. I think Gable gets a big push after Mania.
I think so too. I think him beating Solo is good because the reality of the situation is this is the guy who's challenging to break a almost 3-year run. And if you want us as fans to believe that Cody has an opportunity, this is how you do it.
I can agree with that. That's fair.
Do we go to FTR now?
Well, I was going to mention, we forgot to mention the Bloodline. Honestly, yeah, because I know you. I'll let you take this one because you are such a huge fan.
Oh God. Goodfellas is my favorite movie ever. Ever. And like, I always wear horror t-shirts. I'm a big horror guy. But Goodfellas, in my opinion, is the best piece of cinema ever. And the Bloodline absolutely murdered their spoof of the funny how scene.
They certainly made that the best one of all of the WrestleMania trailers that they've made this year. Yep. And they definitely saved the best for last. Mm-hmm. I thought, like, don't get me wrong, I thought some of the other ones were great. I thought the 40-year-old virgin one last week was great. I thought, obviously, the Batman one was great to start off with Seth and Becky. I popped really big for the Montez and Bianca one. But no, this one absolutely ran away with it.
Yeah, and then like one of my favorite parts was Solo being just fucking stone-faced the whole time.
You really are a funny tribal chief.
Right.
And then everyone just kind of looks at him and was like, what? And it closes, that was like the eye catch close on it. It was great.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. Let's talk FTR.
Let's talk FTR.
FTR has been, Dax Harwood has been really busy this week.
Cash has done nothing.
Cash is doing his own thing, but Dax is the one that's like all over media.
Yeah.
He's got his podcast with his buddy Mike, or Matt, whatever his name is. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't listen to that podcast often. But then I see he starts putting up ads after the show, after we went off the air last week, that he's putting up he's going to do an entire episode on Triple H. Now, me having never seen FTR, having never listened to their podcast before, I thought this was going to be like, oh, he's actually going to sit down with Triple H. Holy shit, this is going to be a thing. No, Dax's podcast is just him talking about all the things that happens. Also, he talks an awful lot about how hot his wife is, like he's Carl Anderson, and apparently the man has an entire session every week on his show about tequila. Good for him. You're a tequila connoisseur and you like to describe your tequila, but it was just like, all right, that was out of place. Anyways,
no flips your fists.
Anyways, I listened to the interview. I listened to the episode. I was stuck in traffic and I was whatnot, and it was just whatever. Don't forget, last week they had mentioned the whole we know what our next move is, but nothing's finalized, so we can't announce it. So that's adding the speculation what's going to be FTR's next move. Now, during this interview, or during this podcast, two things really stood out to me. First off is the fact that like the big takeaway was Triple H was never really a big revival guy. When they were in NXT, they were always used as the hands to put someone over, and it was specifically done that way. Like he mentioned, like there was the design for him to get Gargano and Ciampa over. There was designs to get Alpha Academy, not even Alpha Academy at the time. Why am I blanking on their name? American Alpha. Their series without American Alpha was always meant to be good. And it was basically said, is like, Triple H basically told them, we are using you to make sure that everyone else is where they need to be. Which, in some eyes, can be viewed as, you're not really looking out for us. And in some eyes can be looked at as, oh, well, we trust you guys. Good. You're that good that we trust you guys to be the benchmark.
Yeah.
Which says a lot in itself. But once they made their way to the main roster and all the fuckery was going around with Vince's booking and everything, Trips not standing up for them was a huge standout part of that. Like, Vince would basically be like, no, we're doing this. And they would be like, Trips, what do you think? And he's like, I'm sorry, man, we can't do anything about it. So it was really like, the way he described it was Triple H never really had their best interest in mind. It was more so, hey, we love you guys, but, I mean, it's just business.
It is what it is.
So during that interview, and also during that interview, the other big takeaway was that he was using a lot of language that basically made it seem like he has zero intention, like they have zero intention of going back to WWE. It was a very it had a lot of like bitterness to it. Like, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. It's all completely speculatory. It seemed like their bad experience with the WWE with the main roster on their last run is preventing them from wanting to come back.
And I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
fast forward 2 days later,
right?
Dax does an interview with Sean Ross Sapp, and I quote, I think, so not the and I quote yet, but he basically says that FTR, two of the big teams that they want to face still in their careers, the Usos and the Street Profits, which obviously are, of course, both WWE teams. Are they teasing going back? At this point, it's still shifty, but, and this is the quote that really got me, was, I think the two of us together, two badass Samoan guys and two badass Southern guys who don't mind throwing hands and also don't mind talking a little shit, I think that could make for some really, really good storytelling.
It would.
I think it'd be great. If they really are. They're two teams that are in the prime of their career. Last year, the PWI Top 100 tag teams, they went number 1, number 2. They also mentioned wanting to face Edge and Christian, which a lot of people are talking about. Is Christian, if Christian's done in AEW, does he go back? That could be your other return. Christian returning and helping Edge.
That's true. That's true. It could.
Either way, between the podcast and the Sean Ross Sapp interview, they're really playing their cards close to their chest, and you can't tell which way they're going.
No.
Now,
that's the way it should be.
It really should. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, the reason I said that it won't be FTR that comes back to WrestleMania, they still have a couple months on their contract.
Right, I know.
Dax's contract, I believe, is up in April, and Cash's is up in June. Or the other way around. I know one of them got 2 months tacked on for injury.
Do you know where they're from?
Dax is from North Carolina.
You know where Cash is from?
No.
North Carolina.
Is he? Are they both
Asheville?
Yeah, they're both from the Asheville area. If that's the case. I knew Dax was from the Asheville area.
Dax is from Whiteville?
Whiteville?
Mm-hmm. And then Cash is from Asheville.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's out west side of the state.
Yeah. But no, I would like him back in the E.
I would love to have them back in the E and love them to get some proper booking, but again, only time will tell at this point.
Yep. This brings us to our miscellaneous notes.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude, we are going through pretty quick today.
Well, we're going to spend at least 30 minutes on these picks. So
Exactly. So WWE released the logo for SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at it, it reminded me a lot of the Detroit Pistons logo with a touch of the Lions in there, which makes perfect sense because SummerSlam is in Detroit.
I actually haven't even seen the logo yet. I'm about to pull that up.
Looks good.
Okay, I like it.
It represents, the car with the exhaust pipes, and which that part reminds me of the Pistons, and then in the background it's got the blue and silver with the Lions.
Yeah, I like it. You're right.
Also, total side note, I know we're wrestling and football, but the Detroit Pistons have the most appropriately named team for where they're located.
I've never really thought about it that way, but you're right.
It just popped into my brain.
Same. Until you just said it now, I was just like, damn. That's a really good point.
That's a great name for them. Anyway, go ahead and talk to me about Alicia.
Yeah, so Alicia Tout, a longtime interviewer, manager on the indie scene. She's been working with MLW for years now. And last week she was granted her release from Major League Wrestling and is now a free agent. She was managing, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but whoever it was that she was managing, they got injured, ruined all their plans. So now she was just kind of like wandering aimlessly, and she was just like, hey, can I get out of my contract? Yeah, go ahead. And, I mean, whatever. I think whatever company she goes to will be absolutely amazing. Major League Wrestling, let's not forget, they've quietly been one of the better, not even really, can you really call them indies? They're kind of like in between an indie and a main.
Yeah.
They're like.
They're either a small company or a big indie.
It's almost like they're like a AAA, not AAA as in like Mexico AAA, but like a AAA team, like a baseball AAA team.
Yes, I know what you meant.
I made a list of some of the names to come through Major League Wrestling over the past couple years.
This is fucking hell of a list.
Yeah. MJF, Matt Riddle, Filthy Tom Lawler, Taya Valkyrie, Sami Callihan, Mance Warner, the Samoan SWAT team. Bonus points if you can name their reigning middleweight champ without looking it up.
Not a fucking chance.
Lince Dorado.
Okay.
Yep. I saw that when I was doing that, like, look at all these names from MLW. I saw that. I was like, oh, no, son of a bitch. I'll be damned. Good for them. This is going to be a free agent signing to watch because I think she's the next Renee Paquette.
Okay.
I like genuinely. I thought even when she was still on the indie days, when Renee was still on her like up and up, I thought that the two of them were very comparable. But like Alicia Tout was basically like the indie version of Renee Young. So I think wherever she goes is going to be just as much of a revelation.
Okay.
So that's why I say this is going to be something to look out for. Not to mention MJF is already taking shots on her on Twitter. So
perfect. Love it. I love MJF. I know you were devastated, man. I know you're a big fan of this TV show.
You've heard me actively talk about how stupid this show is.
I have for years. But I will say, I like that we get the crossover. So our beloved Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss, was unmasked on The Masked Singer.
Yes. I forget which one she was, but that's where she's been the past couple months.
I've never watched the show. Don't ever plan to.
Same.
My grandmother loves it. Shout out to my grandma who sometimes listens to this podcast.
Hi, Grandma.
Yep,
Haven't said hi in a while. Grandma. Hi, Grandma.
But yeah, so I like that. Look, again, you and I are not fans of that. I don't think you and I are fans really of reality TV to begin with.
Not really.
But I do like that we get that crossover. I like that because, well, let's not forget that Masked Singer is produced by Fox. Fox has a deal with WWE for SmackDown. It makes sense that Bliss was on the show.
Also, and she's not the first wrestler to show up on that show either. Let's not forget, I think it was last season. Can you name who one of the Masked Singers was last season?
I can. It was The Miz.
No. Chris Jericho.
I thought The Miz was on it.
He might have been, but I remember Chris Jericho being on it more prominently. That was a big thing last season. Either way.
That's not fair. He's a fucking musician.
Anyways, yeah, he's already a lead singer, so you're right. That's not fair. But that explains why Alexa's been off TV for a little bit. Also, as part of that, announcing that she's been off TV, she announced that she has been fighting basal cell carcinoma.
I don't know what that is.
It's cancer. Skin cancer.
Oh, what cancer?
Skin cancer.
Okay.
And she had specifically put, I think in a, it was a Instagram post. She was mentioning just like I should have told younger me to stay out of the tanning bed so much.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. Good to see that she's healing up well. Best of wishes on her recovery. And we hope to see her back in the ring soon. We need Bliss. We need proper like Goddess Bliss back.
Correct.
I think that's someone that you could instantly insert back to the top of the card like it's nothing.
Yep.
CM Punk's been in the news again.
Shocker.
Over the weekend, he posts a Instagram story and then immediately deletes it. But of course, this is the internet and nothing disappears forever. He makes a lot of claims about everything that went down with his title reign. A lot of claims. First off, he was never cleared to wrestle. That was what led into the whole him dropping the title in a squash on Raw. On Dynamite.
Yep.
Mox apparently did not want to lose to him at all whatsoever, despite the fact that it was Mox's idea to pitch this Rocky 3 idea where Punk basically gets his like confidence shook and he has to work his way back up. And that was supposed to be the whole build back up to All Out. But again, he wasn't healthy. So
But also, Punk said he's never seen Rocky.
Any of the Rockies.
That's ridiculous.
I haven't.
What?
I've never watched a Rocky movie all the way through. Sorry. You also know me. I don't watch a lot of movies.
That's true, but Rocky... Go watch Rocky 4.
If he dies, he dies. If he doesn't watch it, he doesn't watch it.
No, go watch... And Rocky 3, man. Clubber Lang, Mr. T.
Anyways,
Hulk Hogan is in one of the Rocky movies.
That's true.
I think he's in the third one.
So he claims he did agree to do the match though, but he didn't want to do it until he was cleared, and they kind of it almost makes it seem like they forced the hand. He calls Meltzer and Jericho liars and stooges. A whole bunch is there's just so much drama that goes into it. There's a lot of like questionable. Is it true? Is it not? Like I don't know.
CM Punk has done a great job of destroying his reputation.
Also, I believe it was in the news this morning that I didn't get a chance to put it in here, but basically everyone in AEW does not want him back there. Especially after the shots he took this past weekend.
I don't want him in the E.
I don't think anybody wants him anywhere anymore.
Nope. He's not worth the drama that he comes with.
Speaking of being done with the WWE...
I don't know how much I believe of this, but in an IG post announcing an appearance at WrestleCon, Trinity Fatu, the former Naomi, has announced that she is, quote, done with WWE, end quote.
I also think that it's very...
Work.
I think it's half and half.
I think it is, too.
I think it's half and half. I think it's part work, part shoot. I think it's... She doesn't know what her next move is.
Yep.
And she's leaving the door open, but I doubt she's fully done with the WWE at this point.
I think Vince being out really helps make it easy for Trinity and Mercedes to come back.
Well, Mercedes ain't coming back anytime soon.
No, but I think eventually she will.
I think so too. But for now, like she's getting her New Japan run out of the way.
Yep. And then one last miscellaneous note. Whoa, I just read this.
You didn't read this before?
No.
So
I'll let you take it then.
Yeah, so Wrestling Observer Network newsletter last week, Dave Meltzer reports that one of the creative ideas that Miro turned down last year was being the final two in the Full Gear Battle Royal with Hangman, which of course would have made that a face-off to see... that was a good plan for Miro to move something, but Miro was basically like, you're just going to feed me to Hangman that way. I don't want that. Like, I need better booking than that. And again, good on Miro for standing up for himself.
Yep.
Tony Khan said that they would get back to him after the pay-per-view, has yet to. Meltzer claims that Miro still has 3 years left on his contract. And if that's the case, I feel really bad for Miro.
I bet you Miro regrets signing that contract right now.
I think so too, especially now that, again, he was one of those casualties of the Vince era. Yep. I think him being locked into that long contract now and not getting used is really affecting him. I still think Miro versus MJF would be a great feud, but
but I mean, can you think of a person who's been just misused or not used so poorly?
Aleister Black or Malachi Black.
But like,
do I need to make a list real quick? Do I need to pull up AEW's roster and pull up all the people that they've mismanaged?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, even when he was doing the Rusev Day thing, which got over great, you know, like
He has yet to do anything that has really gotten over with the AEW crowd. Even when he was on his TNT championship run, he was never really over. He was always just kind of like the bit player that was making other people look good.
I think he should come back to the E and let Triple H use him.
I think so too.
But if he has a 3-year contract, bro.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But again, I agree.
Yep. And we'll before we get to our picks, which is going to take up some time, we got a couple funny things. From,
we had a lot of funny notes this week that I was just like, we just need to put these into their own section, just because it's just like this is the lighthearted moment of the news.
Yep. I'll let you take 1 and 3 if you give me number 2.
That's fine. You can take number 4 as well.
We already did.
Oh yeah, we did. We already talked about Chiefsaholic skipping his bail.
Yeah.
So we had a funny moment. I think over last weekend, Ali posts a video on Instagram. He posts a little reel, and it's him singing a parody of "The Reason" by Hoobastank, talking about Retribution's breakup. It was the 1-year anniversary of the breakup of Retribution, and he's basically singing this song, parodying "The Reason," making fun of the Retribution days. I don't know if you saw it, but it was fucking funny.
I'll have to go check that out.
It's Ali. Like Ali has been a revelation so far. He did a really good job last night on Raw as well. I like this whole positive Ali thing that they're doing. Positively, I think it's funny. I know it's a reimagining of the Positively page, but again, it's funny. I think he's doing something good. I think he's really starting to show some character, and he's really starting to get some traction with it. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the new regime actually giving him something.
Yeah.
The one thing I did find funny though is that obviously you know how Instagram will do like the whole blank like so and so many others like this. The one that stood out when I looked at it was Malachi Black, which of course Black and Ali, they have a good friendship outside of the ring.
Yes.
But when I saw that, I just had this weird visioning of the House of Black just sitting in the back in the dark, scrolling on their phones. Like it just I don't know why it just popped me. I was just like, it's funny.
I just pictured Malachi with like his eye and everything, just like
exactly. It's just something funny about that.
Yeah. Our funny football note was Jimmy G has been offered free sex for life by Chicken Ranch, which is a legal brothel in Vegas.
I just want to know why all the beautiful people get all the breaks.
First of all, Jimmy G is gorgeous and doesn't need your free sex, Chicken Ranch. And second, let's not forget that Jimmy G once dated a porn star, and she said that his stamina was so good, she had to tap out.
I didn't know that, but okay.
So, but yeah, you go to Vegas where paying for sex is legal, and you're a good-looking guy, and people want to keep you in Vegas. They're gonna offer you some shit. I believe also
it's great marketing.
Bunny Ranch, I believe they offered him like a double diamond membership thing, which I don't know all the perks and stuff that includes, but a lot of the legal brothels in Vegas are offering things for Jimmy G.
And again, he doesn't need it.
No.
That man's doing fine by himself. Speaking of quote-unquote beautiful people, Venezuelan YouTuber Lily Pons appeared on Impulsive with Logan Paul. Claims that she turned down a $20 million contract from the WWE.
I don't even know who she is.
I had to Google her. Apparently she's Venezuelan living in America. She's just a YouTuber. And it's like she's just some YouTuber and like some celebrity model type deal. And she's going around claiming that she was offered a $20 million contract that she turned down. Fightful Select reached out to their sources at WWE, and the sources went, wow, that's very generous of us. But no such thing exists. And WWE has neither confirmed nor denied any interest in her in the first place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so...
That wraps up all of our news.
Finally.
And now we get on to the daunting task of making our picks.
WrestleMania weekend picks.
Multiverse United, Supercard of Honor, Stand and Deliver, and Mania 39.
Now, I won't... Let me see. Wait, what do you mean changes have not been? Go away. I'm like, I accidentally pulled it up in 2 different windows, and now it's like fucking around on me. All right, let's close this one. Leave. Yes. All right, so we're not going to count Multiverse United picks for towards our point score, just because I feel like neither one of us have enough knowledge on New Japan or Impact to really make too much of a difference. However, these are still some great matches that I kind of want to put some bids on.
Cool.
So we start off.
Why don't we do this? Whoever gets the most right for Multiverse United gets 2 points.
I like that. We can do that.
All right.
And if it's a tie, then it's just a tie.
All right.
All right. Yuya Mura versus Gabriel Kidd, 2 former young boys in New Japan. Gabriel Kidd, of course, a longtime standout at WCPW back in the day.
Yep.
Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Kidd because he's the name I recognize.
I like both of them, but I also think Gabriel Kidd's taking this one. He's really come into his own over the past couple years. This one jumps right off the map. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Oof.
I know, man. I know.
I'm taking Tana.
All right, then I'll take Speedball. Because I think that one. That's another one that could go either way.
It really could. Jeff Cobb versus Moose.
Give me Cobb.
I also take Cobb. I love Moose, but I feel like he doesn't have enough going for him right now. They're building Cobb back up to be a monster right now. Let's not forget that Cobb is facing Kenny Omega this week for the IWGP US Championship.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I think he's being built back up. The X Division Championship being defended in a 6-way scramble. Trey Miguel, Clark Connors, Frankie Kazarian, Kevin Knight, Rich Swann, Rocky Romero. Who you got?
Rich Swann.
You know what's funny? I was going to say Rich Swann too, but I think I'm going to take Trey Miguel to retain.
Okay. This is another good one.
Ooh, yep. For the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. Kenta versus Minoru Suzuki.
I'll let you pick first.
I'm going to take Kenta. I think he retains.
I think Kenta retains too.
Like I love Suzuki, but
I love Suzuki too, but I think that's going to be a hard fucking hitting match.
Oh, absolutely.
Chops galore.
For the Impact World Tag Team Championships, we have the Bullet Club being represented by Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus Aussie Open versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Mighty Don't Kneel, this time around being Bad Guy Tito and Shane Haste. Also, can I point out real quick while we're talking about Shane Haste, he had probably one of my favorite tweets of the week this week so far. Tweeted a picture of the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial trophy with the Slapjack mask on it. It was the greatest thing. Like, I laughed so hard when I saw that.
I'm going to take Motor City Machine Guns.
I'm going to take Aussie Open.
Okay.
All right. We have an 8-man tag, just a bunch of people that got thrown in together. Alex Coughlin, Sami Callihan, Fred Rosser, PCO versus Eddie Edwards, Joe Hendry, JR Kratos, and Filthy Tom Lawler.
I'll go with whoever you don't pick.
Why you gotta do this to me? I'm gonna take the faces. You wanna take the heels?
Sure.
Actually, what I should put... We should put it as, like, which team. So, Eddie Edwards' team has been billed as the faces. Sami Callihan's team has been billed as the heels. I think. I don't know.
I'll take Callahan and them. You take Hendry and them.
Yeah. Plus, I'm just a big Joe Hendry fan. I believe in Joe Hendry.
We both are taking Masha, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Masha.
Right.
Again, winner gets added. Winner of the 4-way, Slam of it. Masha, Giselle Shaw, Deonna Purrazzo, Maya Yamashita. They get added to the Knockouts Championship match. It's got to be Masha. All right, so that's gonna do it for Multiverse United. Let's get the Supercard of Honor. Now, the Reach for the Sky ladder match for the vacated Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. We've got the Lucha Bros versus Top Flight versus the Kingdom versus Aussie Open versus LFI. Who you got?
LFI.
LFI?
Yep.
I am going to take Top Flight.
All right.
I think this is where they finally get their tag team championships. 6-man tag team championships. The Embassy, Brian Cage, Khan, and Toa Leona. I think that's right. And then that they're facing off against AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Metalik. Who you got?
Embassy.
I am going with the other team. Are you locking that in?
Yeah, why?
All right, cool. Then I'm going to tell you why I'm taking the other pick. Let's not forget that Brian Cage's contract is almost over.
Oh, man. Whatever. Look, man, I don't think we've ever had a perfect clean sweep. So.
No, so it doesn't matter. As I mentioned earlier...
We damn sure ain't getting it on Mania weekend.
Damn sure ain't. We got too many picks. For the World Television Championship again, Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe.
You gotta give it to Briscoe, right?
Gotta give it to Briscoe. For sure. This is his to lose. And it kind of makes up for him having to give up the tag team titles, unfortunately. Exactly. Athena defending the women's championship against Yuka Sakazaki.
I think she retains.
I think so too. Sorry, Yuka. Athena's just been too good with that belt so far. Yuta versus Shibata for the...
Such a good match!
I'm taking Yuta.
Shibata?
I'm taking...
You're taking Yuta?
Yeah.
I'll take Shibata.
All right. As we mentioned earlier, for the AAA Megas Championship, we've got El Hijo del Vikingo versus Commander.
Kingo.
Same. I think he retains. He's lighting the world up right now. I think this is going to be a show-stealing match still, but yeah. And the big one here, the whole reason they're worth watching Supercard of Honor at this point, Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston.
Claudio.
Give me Kingston. I think this is where Kingston takes the belt from him. Stand and Deliver time. So we have an unsanctioned match between Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. Waller. I love Johnny, but it's Waller.
Yeah, it's Waller.
Winners taking control of Chase U. It's going to be Chase U and Tyler Bate versus Schism.
I think Schism.
Think so? I think Chase U. I think it's going to be like one of those whole, like, they have to overcome the odds in order to keep...
I think Schism takes over.
All right, we'll see. Triple threat for the tag team championships. Gallus versus the Creed Brothers versus D'Angelo's.
D'Angelo's.
I think Gallus retains, actually. I'm taking Gallus to retain.
I think I know where you're going with this next one.
Wesley, do you? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Said I think. I think you're going Dragon Lee.
For the NXT North American Championship, again, it's a 5-way. Wesley, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Ilya Dragunov, Axiom.
I think you're going Dragon Lee.
You think I'm going Dragon Lee, but I'm not going Dragon Lee.
Okay.
I'm going with Dragunov.
So am I, you motherfucker! So am I!
I think this is Dragunov's moment.
I do too. I think this is where...
Especially because when he had the NXT UK Championship and had to vacate it prematurely, I think this is his opportunity to get back at the top of the card.
That's exactly my thought process too.
All right. Women's Tag Team Championships. Fallon Henley and Kiana James versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I'm taking Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
I'll take Henley and James.
I mean, either way, they're definitely going to be progressing this whole storyline with Kiana cheating on Briggs.
Yep.
But It's whatever. It's all childish stuff, childishness, high school drama type bullshit. It's whatever.
Yep.
You gotta have it. Ladder match for the vacated Women's Championship. We've got Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, Tiffany Stratton, Lyra Valkyria, and, spoiler for tonight's NXT episode, the last chance match was won by Indy Hartwell.
Okay.
Who do you got?
I'm torn between Tiffany and Gigi.
I'm torn between Gigi and Zoe.
All right, I'll take Gigi.
All right, I'll take Zoe. Like, I wanted to say Gigi, but because it would make it easy for her to instantaneously, like, make it a feud against
Roxanne.
JC Jane.
That's, yeah.
And Roxy, but yeah. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Zoe Stark, though.
Okay.
Because at the same time, I don't think you need the title on that Dolan-Jane feud.
I agree.
And finally, for the NXT Championship, Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes.
Mello.
It's time.
Yep.
Plus, there's a lot of talk of Braun Breaker getting moved up.
Spoiler for our called shots. Breaker is my choice for call up on Monday Night Raw.
I'll go ahead and put... Well, again, it's WrestleMania weekend. We get 3 called shots apiece. But I'll put that down as one of them.
Well, no, I think we should do debut, return, and call up as their own.
I like it. Well, actually, let me add those 3 columns real quick.
And then we get
debut, return, call up. There. Now it's on the sheet. And again, I wanted to do this for those of you that are watching at home. We did want to do this as like a shared screen kind of thing, but I didn't have everything set up in time, so shame on me.
Didn't work out that way, guys. You're gonna have to trust us.
It's all being recorded regardless. Moving on to Mania 39. This is the big one. This is what we're here for. Starting off with the U.S. Championship, Austin Theory versus John Cena.
I think you and I might have a lot of the same picks for this.
I think so too, but that's against the point.
Hard. Theory. There's no way Cena's gonna. There's just no way.
This is gonna be Cena putting Theory over for sure.
Yep.
I still like the idea of Theory then turning around and losing the title to Jay White on Monday night, but that's different. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. I'm taking Rollins.
I think Seth.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yep. Trish, Lita, Becky versus Damage Control.
Give me Trish, Lita, and Becky.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take Damage Control.
All right.
Just so we can have something different. What did I say I was gonna put? Shit. Oh yeah. Trish, Becky, Lita. Plus, I also think that this could be where we get the Trish turn on Becky. So, that could be a thing.
Stop spoiling my called shots while we're making predictions.
I'm sorry. How was I supposed to know? Brock versus Omos.
Brock.
I am gonna take Omos.
Are you really? And you believe that, or are you just doing that for the sake of picks?
I genuinely believe that. I think Brock has been putting Omos over for a bit now. And this could, especially with this idea that Brock could be done after Mania for a little bit, I think it would be a great option for him to put Omos over on his way out the door for a bit. And not only that, but if Omos wins, 1, you're creating a new monster, and 2, you're giving us reason to believe that Lesnar's confidence has been shaken.
That's fair.
Because him losing to Roman is whatever. Him losing to Omos makes a difference.
That's fair.
Charlotte versus Rhea, SmackDown Women's Championship.
Rhea.
For the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca versus Asuka. I'm gonna take Bianca to retain.
I actually think Bianca retains, but I would want Asuka. So I'm going there.
I agree with that, but again, I think this is Bianca retaining, just because there hasn't been enough build-up for Asuka yet.
She is approaching Cena wins lull levels.
Well, the other thing I was thinking about, Bianca's still undefeated at Mania.
Yep.
What if they make her the female Undertaker?
Not a bad shout.
Yeah. Intercontinental Championship, Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre.
Give me Sheamus.
Give me Gunther to retain. I think Sheamus still struggles to get that belt back. Edge versus Finn Balor in Hell in a Cell. We did get the confirmation last night on Raw that we will be getting the Demon in
we
Judgment
did?
Day form. Yeah, that was confirmed last night.
Nice.
And they had Finn cut a promo, and like they kept filtering in like images of him in Judgment Day style demon paint.
Okay.
So, I haven't figured this out yet, but I was gonna say Finn too. Yeah.
I hope we get the Brood entrance for Edge though.
Agreed. Also, I could be wrong on this. I have yet to figure it out, but apparently there's already a Judgment Day themed demon paint for Finn in 2K23. I haven't seen it myself yet. I have to look that up.
Interesting.
Yeah. The women's showcase tag team match. We have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. Also, I love the fact that last night when they had Green and Deville tag together and like they get a shot at the entering the match. Mm-hmm. The idea of calling them the complaint department. I love that. I love that so much.
I'm going with Chelsea and Sonya.
Oh.
Because every Mania has to have comedy in it at some point. Chelsea and Sonya accidentally winning, peak comedy.
I can see that, but I'm still taking Ronda and Shayna.
I think you took the smart choice.
All right, now for the men's showcase match, we have Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders.
I think it comes down to Street Profits or Alpha Academy.
Think so?
Yep, and I'm going to roll with Montez and Dawkins.
Give me the Viking Raiders.
They could use it.
Make them the monsters. It reminds me of when the Bludgeon Brothers got their WrestleMania win for the tag titles. That's what it reminds me of. And it's just an opportunity for them to be just tough heel team that's hard to beat. Plus that positions them to be challengers for... Look at this next match. Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship.
KO and Sammy, man.
Gotta be KO and Sammy. And like I was leading up to, Viking Raiders could be a great first challenger if that's the case.
Yeah.
Finally confirmed. I actually didn't put this in the notes because I wanted to wait until we actually talk about this. We finally got Ray and Dom confirmed on Friday night. Thank fuck that's over.
Yep.
It's just officially made. We're done. It's in the books. Who you got?
Ray.
Dom. Yes, I went into that knowing full and well I'm just taking who you're not taking, but I think Dom takes it.
I think Ray takes it because I think Ray takes it. Dom makes excuses. We get a rematch at SummerSlam, which is where Ray retires.
I like it. I like the booking. And finally, of course, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. There's only one correct answer here.
And it's Roman Reigns.
I forgot that you wanted to go that route, but I'm still taking Cody.
So here's my argument with that, right? The original plans was Rock and Roman. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah, kinda.
Rock wasn't winning.
I also think you don't need Rock and Roman, the title for Rock and Roman, and you can do that.
It doesn't matter because if they would have gotten Rock, he would have been for the title. It would have, if Rock would have been available, it would have been for the title.
Oh, I agree. But I'm saying that now with the booking, you don't need a title on Rock Roman. You can make Rock Roman for SummerSlam if you want.
You could.
You don't need a title on that.
You could.
All right. So debut, return, call up, 3 called shots apiece. We'll start with debut.
I think we're both going Switchblade.
Yeah,
right?
we both said Switchblade, so that's not even a question.
I'll let you take Randy for return if you let me take Big E.
I'm okay with that.
And then my call-up is Braun.
My call-up is going to be Cameron Grimes.
Fuck! that's a good one. That's a
Cameron Grimes, another Carolina boy, the Carolina caveman. To the moon, baby.
that's a good one.
All right. You want to start with your first called shot?
Trish turns on Lita and Becky. I'm not gonna caveat that with either during or post match because I don't know. But I'm just gonna say, but I will say it happens at Mania, not the Raw after Mania. During the show, whether it's night 1 or night 2, Trish will turn on.
That's fair.
Becky and Lita.
My first called shot. Maximum Male Models get involved in the men's showcase because of the whole thing that's going on with Alpha Academy and Otis and all that stuff.
I like it. I guess my other called shot's going to be the Brood entrance for Edge.
You want that?
Yep.
All right. Second one, my second called shot. Ronda and Shayna challenge for the tag titles on night 2.
I love that. I hope that happens.
All of my called shots are going past my box, but it's whatever. All right, third called shot for you.
Theory beats Cena in less than 5 minutes.
That's a brave call, especially when you consider that they're opening the show.
I know. I don't think Cena's in perfect wrestling shape.
He doesn't need to be, though. It's Cena.
Yeah.
His 5 moves of doom, he doesn't need a lot of exercise for that.
You're not wrong, but yeah, I think Theory squashes him.
Final called shot for me.
Is that confirmed opening night 1?
Yeah, that is confirmed. Okay. Ooh. Oh man, I'm out of ideas. I had those other 2 called shots like ready to go no matter what, but now I'm struggling to think of a third one. I got it. Jake Paul accompanies his brother to the ring.
Before the match, during the match,
Whenever. Just at some point, Jake Paul will be there.
Appearance.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple prop bets for us.
Okay. I'll start adding some.
Huh?
I'll start adding some extra rows for that. All right. Go ahead.
Main event for night 1.
What are you taking?
I think it's going to be the tag match.
I think it's still going to be Charlotte versus Rhea.
Okay.
All right.
Opener for night 2.
What do you got?
I see triple threat.
I like it.
Right?
I think to open the show on night 2, we get Bianca Asuka.
I like that too. All right. Longest match and shortest match.
All right. For longest match, I'm taking Reigns Rhodes.
So I was going to take them, but I have a backup prepared. I'm going with the Hell in the Cell.
You know, that was my backup, actually. Shortest match. I'm taking the Women's Showcase.
Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there now. It's going to be the Women's Showcase.
I'm going to say Brock and Omos.
That was my other one.
Just because I didn't want to double down on Theory and Cena, because if I get that prop bet wrong, I don't want to get it wrong twice.
Yeah. Plus, it's a Brock match. Of course, it's going to go low.
Yeah.
Any other prop bets?
Off the top of my head, those were just a couple. Because we already know the main event for night 2 is going to be Cody and Roman.
Bro, we've already got, let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 23, 30, 37, 45 picks here. We have 45 picks on the board that we just did.
Okay.
Gotta love Mania week, baby.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. That's gonna do it for us actually this week. We've got our picks in. We'll see who ends up as the champion next week. I'm still reigning. Yeah. Technically, I am still the reigning defending champ at the moment since Revolution picks. So this is always the one that gets us. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens. That's gonna do it for us though this week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page now. We have our own YouTube page now. Make sure you're subscribing. Sooner we can start getting some monetary funding, the sooner we can get Bobby a better camera, all that fun stuff. And yeah, for Bobby and me, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week with all the results from Mania weekend. We're probably gonna be exhausted. Well, I'm gonna be exhausted as shit. You'll probably be exhausted as shit too, but for different reasons because your son will be running around. But yeah. That's going to do it for us.
Peace.
We out.